Hello children, welcome to the today's session. So in the last class, we have learned lot of things. So once again, I'm going to repeat what are the things we have learned in the last class. Okay, in the last class we have learned about February Revolution because the Tsar Nicholas II and the Russia was participated in the First World War. The soldiers and the army people, they were not willing to participate in the war due to the certain conditions what they were bearing during that time. Because of his administration, already the common people were very unhappy towards his administration. And after the defeat in the First World War, I have told that people started questioning his identity as well as his capability and capacity, that he's not a good administrator. So as a result, in 1917, in the month of February, in the capital city called Petrograd. So there was a two category of the people in the capital city. In the one side, the workers, factories, industries, and the whatever quarters were being there for the factories and industries. Those people, they were living in the right side, and the left side, the official buildings were been there. High class society people were been there, posh, a little bit luxurious type of lifestyle. In the left side of the Neva River, they were been living there. So we will see the divisions of society also during that time. And also he suspended the Duma Parliament. So as a result, in the 22nd February, lockout was been took place at the factory. So each and every activities of the factory were being shut down. So next day, 50 factories called a strike on 23rd February 1917, and this day was called as the International Women's Day. So after the suspension of Duma, whatever assembly members were been there, so each and every member, they were unhappy regarding the decision which was took by the Tsar Nicholas II. So eventually, to come out from this kind of tough situation, Tsar Nicholas II, he started suppressing the all kind of revolutionary movement which was been arised in the Russia there. So as a result, the Duma Parliament was been suspended. Duma Parliament, it is nothing but the name of the parliament which is given in the Russia. Okay, so 24 and 25 February, all the demonstrators, all the revolutionaries, they started revolting against the Tsar Nicholas II. So at that time, to control this kind of situation, he um, told to the army people to suppress the all kind of revolutions there. But even the army members, they took back their support, and they gave the support to the socialistic people as well as the common people, those are fighting against the Tsar Nicholas II. So 26th February, all the demonstrators, they returned in the force, in a huge force. They started attacking on police headquarters, and they damaged lot of government offices which were present in the Petrograd there. So workers demonstrated on the street by raising the slogan. They were having their own demand for better hours. Fixed hours should be fixed hours should be kept for working. Good wages should be given, and it should be in a democratic way where all the people are being treated equally. So the government sent the army troop, that is cavalry, to suppress the demonstrators there, but they refused to um, attack on them because already the army people were also been fed up of his administration. So an officer shot at the barracks of a regiment. Regiment, it is nothing but troops where the army people were been living, are living there. So after that, those people, they divided into two parts. One is Soviet or a council. Soviet means it is nothing but a council in the same building, and they were met as a Duma parliament. They met in that parliament, and it was called as a Petrograd Soviet. And another one was provincial government where the higher officials were been living, and they gave support for the this one revolutionary movement which took place in the Russia. So as a result, the Soviet leaders and the Duma leaders, with those two support, they formed one government in Russia. Okay, at that time, the Tsar Nicholas, he came to know that my administration surely it will come to an end. So as a result, he resigned from the throne. 2nd March 1917, Soviet leaders and the Duma leaders formed the provincial government to run a country there. So, in this way, the February Revolution, by the end of Tsar Nicholas II administration, a new government was being emerged in the Russia, that is provincial government there. So, what are the effect took place after the February Revolution? Okay, after this revolution, what are the changes took place? The provincial government, army officials, landowners, industrialists played a very important role in the government there. These group, liberals and socialistic, worked for an elected government. They restricted on public meeting, associations were being removed under the provincial government. Bolshevik leader Vladimir Lenin, he returned to Russia from the exile in the April 1917 there. So exile means it is nothing but ದೇಶದ್ರೋಹ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತಂದು ಹೇಳಿ ದೇಶ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕಳಿಸೋದು ಅವನ್ನ. So for that we call it as exile. So he came back in the month of April. So Lenin, he was having his own party as well as he was having his own followers called Bolsheviks. So they opposed the war since 1914 when they participated in the First World War. From there till 1917, always they against to participate in the First World War there. So he felt that it was the time for the Soviet to take over the power and to start their government. So as a result, he gave his thesis called April thesis by keeping three demands in front of the government. First one, the war be brought to be a close. The land should be transferred to the peasants. Bank should be nationalized. So in this way, he kept a demand in front of the um, provincial government. But Lenin wanted to take over the each and every power in Russia. So as a result, between the provincial government, this is the provincial government and this is the Bolshevik party. So both of them, always the clashes were been going on between these two. Okay. So as a result, even the workers' movement were being spreaded throughout the Russian country during that time. So industrial area, factory committees were being formed after the February Revolution as well as workers' movement. Large trade union associations were being grew up. Soldiers committees were being formed in the army. So by the June, all the representative they gathered and they kept a name called All Russian Congress of Soviet there. And Lenin wanted Bolshevik party to be renamed as a Communist party, and they started following the principles of Karl Marx, which was being proposed by the Communist society in Russia. So as the power of provincial government was reduced and the Bolshevik influence grown. Okay, so during that time I have told between those two always the conflict was been going on. So as a result, provincial government their influence on was been reducing and the Bolshevik party influence was been growing there. So if the people are losing the confidence on provincial government means how the country will run. Okay, so to maintain their power, to keep on ruling the Russian country, always the conflict was been going on. So as a result, the provincial government they took one step to suppress the development of Bolshevik leaders. There, they started beginning arresting the leaders without having any kind of attempts. Popular demonstration, whatever they were strikes they were been launching, each and everything they were suppressing there. So in the countryside, peasants and their socialistic revolutionary leaders pressed for a redistribution of the land. Okay, at that time, the land should be distributed, uh, should be taken from the nobles, and it should be distributed among the peasants there. So that revolution as well as that movement was been going on. For that, land committee was been formed, and peasants started seizing a land between in the month of June and September in 1917. So at that time, lot of changes took place, and between the uh, provincial government and the Bolshevik party, always the conflict was been going on. So to maintain their dignity, to maintain their faith towards the provincial government, they started attacking on Bolshevik leaders, and they started arresting also during that time. So after that, in the month of October, between the provincial government and the Bolshevik party, one more revolution took place in the same year, 1917 only. Okay, so growing conflict between the provincial government and the Bolshevik made the Lenin pursued the Petrograd Soviet and the Bolshevik Party for the socialistic seizure the power. He wanted to capture the power, because between these two, always the conflict was been growing. It was not decreasing at that time. So he united the supporters from the army. So even the army people supported those people, Soviet leaders. Factory for the socialistic seizure on 16th October 1917. Soviet appointed military revolution committee under the leadership of Trotsky. Lenin Trotsky. Here T is silent, so that is Trotsky. So under his leadership, he started gathering the people, and he started. Okay, so under the guidance of Lenin, in the Bolshevik Party, the person called Leon Trotsky, he started collecting the people, he started uniting the people and influencing more and more on Bolsheviks there. So in this way, other people started giving support towards the Bolshevik Party during that time. So as the uprising began, as the conflict was being began on 24th October 1917, Prime Minister called Kerensky, he left the city with his summoned troop in the fear. So Kerensky, he was the Prime Minister of Russia after the February Revolution. So he was having his own troop, which believed that he will give the good administration. So with that troop, he left the city, and in the same evening, with his loyal military man of the government, they started seizing the buildings which was under the Bolshevik party, and he started suppressing. He imposed the censorship law, so that no one should uh, go against the government. So the two buildings were being seized. It was a newspaper. So through the newspaper, pamphlets, and whatever communication skills, techniques were being there during that time. That is telegraph, telephone, and newspaper. These three communications were being there to spread the Lenin idea, as well as to spread the principles of Communist Party there. So if we capture this kind of communication, mass communication, means it will be unable for the Bolshevik leaders to spread their influence in the entire Russia. So at the same evening only, when he left the city with his loyal military troop, he attacked on two building which was under the Bolshevik party, that is newspaper. The committee ordered its supporters to seize the government officers and arrest. They started arresting the minister. So the committee, that is Bolshevik committee, ordered its supporters to seize the government offices only, as well as to arrest the minister. So other vessels sailed down at the Neva to cover the different military points by the night. Uh, By the nightfall, the city was under the control and the ministers were being surrendered. So when the Bolshevik leaders started arresting the leaders and the ministers by the night, um, sorry, by the night, entire city came under the control of Bolshevik leaders there. And there were a heavy fight between the pro government, what were present provincial government was being there, and the Bolshevik leaders. So by December 1917, the Bolshevik controlled the Moscow and the Petrograd area to form their own administration in the Russia there. So as a result, after the October Revolution, once again the Bolshevik won the um, revolution, and they started their own administration in Russia. So see, these are the event which took place in the um, Russia between the that is provincial government and Bolshevik there. So Leon Torensky, he started gathering the people because more and more Lenin was being popularized in the Russia. Instead of hearing the words of what I will tell. His prime minister and provincial government, most of the people they were believing the words of the Lenin. So as a result, to suppress that kind of development only, the prime minister called Kerensky, he started seizing the buildings which were under the control of Bolshevik leaders as well as Bolshevik party, and whatever mass communication were been there, which they were been using to spread the ideas of Lenin, they started seizing them. Seizing means it is nothing but capturing. Okay, seize ಮಾಡೋದಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. You have already heard this kind of words in TV, television and everything else. Okay, so they started seizing the mass communication which was been an weapon for the Lenin to spread his ideas. So when they seized their buildings and mass communication, immediately at the same time Bolshevik leaders they started arresting the ministers, those who were participated in the election as well as in the provincial government. So there was no way to come out from this situation. So as a result, the ministers they surrendered themselves that we are ready to give the support to form the government. So as a result, by the month of December 1917, Bolsheviks already controlled at the Moscow and Petrograd area. So what are the effects which took place in the October Revolution then? So Bolshevik nationalized the bank and the industries in the month of November 1917. How, ma'am? In the month of December only they have been controlled. But after I have talking about after October Revolution, after the month of October, what are the changes took place then? Bolshevik leaders as well as Bolshevik party, they nationalized the bank and the industries under their control in the month of November 1917. They declared land as a social property and allowed the peasant to seize the land from the nobles and from church and from czar. Okay, so they declared themselves it is a social property, that is public property, and allowed the peasants how much land do you want to take for the cultivation purpose. It is your own land only. Now you are owners of the land. So they started seizing, peasants started seizing the land from the noble people, from the church, and from the czar. And also they banned old titles of aristocracy, and the big houses were being partitioned according to the family needs. Whatever titles were being given by the aristocracy people, by the monarchy people based on their birth. ಸೊ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಲವು ಅವ್ರು ಏನಾದ್ರು ರಿಚ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು, ನೋಬೆಲ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಟೈಟಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ರು ಅರಿಸ್ಟೋಕ್ರಸಿದವರು. So they started banning those old titles which was given by the aristocracy, and big palaces were being there, houses were being there. So what the Bolshevik leaders did means, if the family is having only 4 members or 5 members means, according to their requirement they were doing partition in that big houses. Okay, 5 ಮಂದಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮನಿ ಬೇಡ ಅಂತಂದ್ ಹೇಳಿ ಚಿಕ್ಕ 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 ಮನಿಗಳು ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದಿ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ನೀಡ್ಸ್ they started partitioning the big houses into small according to their needs there. If 4 members or 2 members are there means a small house. If 5 members or 4 members are there means according to their family strength, they used to partition the houses, big big houses which was there in the Russia. And the new uniforms were being designed for the army people. And Lenin, he wanted to rename his party as a Russian Communist Party in the Russia there. So these are the changes which took place after the October Revolution. Okay. So next one is the election for the Constituent Assembly. So in the month of November 1917, Bolshevik conducted the election to participate in the Constituent Assembly, but they failed to gain the majority support um, in the election. So as a result, what he did to form his government only in the month of January 1918, he rejected assembly only. ನನಗೆ ಅಸೆಂಬ್ಲಿನೇ ಬೇಡ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ I will take all over the control of government authority and I will become the leader. So as a result, they rejected the assembly, Bolshevik measures, and the Lenin dismissed the assembly in the month of January when they failed to gain the support from the people. Lenin believed that all Russia Congress of Soviet was more democratic than an assembly. So under their belief, under their belief, they rejected the assembly and they started um, ruling in Russia. So after the October Revolution, elections were being held, but even though a lot of contribution was being given by the Bolshevik leaders, but people were being they did not give the support for that party. So as a result, he rejected the assembly only and he started his own administration in Russia. So as a result, he created the Soviet Union. Then how, in your mind, one question will be raised. How he rejected? Because Russia, they have already adopted the socialism. Yes or no? Yes. Lenin, what he did, he took the support from the his neighboring countries, those were following the socialistic form of thinking in their own country. Okay, the people those were following the socialism, those thinkers, they gave the support to the Lenin to form the uh, government in Russia there. Okay, so as a result, he created the Soviet Union. So in the March 1918, Bolsheviks entered into a treaty when the Germany and the war was being ended, because by the Germany only the Russia was being defeated. So between Germany and Russia, one treaty was being signed. So the Bolshevik became one only a party to participate in the all Russian Congress of Soviet, which was the parliament of a country, and they won. So it became only single party to contest in the election, and they were winning in the election. So Lenin was thinking something else. New development were been taking place in the Russia. To control that development only, Russia became only one party system, one party state, to check each and everything. The people those were there in his assembly as well as in his surrounding as well as in the Russia. He started keeping the secret police in the name of Cheka, and afterwards it was called as the NKVD and other things. So if any person talking against the Lenin administration means those people were being um, punished, and it was being criticized under the punished those who criticized the Bolshevik policies and the government by the Lenin there. So many young writers and the artist people, they stood for the social change. They stood for the other changes which was done by the Bolshevik leaders, because censorship law was being implemented by the Lenin because he want to check and he maintained the secret police called Cheka and NKVD. The people those were talking against his administration, the punishment was being given to them. So many young writers, they started demanding that we want another form of government, where a democratic form, each and every people will be treated equally. They wanted, they stood for the social change as well as for the uh, other changes. So as a result, the civil war was being started when the Bolshevik leaders came into existence. So about this civil war, I am going to explain in the next session. So if you are having any kind of doubt, you can just pin your question in the group, so that I will try my level best to sort out your problem. I hope today's class you have understood. One is October Revolution and second one is the February Revolution. So for 5 marks and for 3 marks, these questions will be arised in the exam. So read the effects, events, and causes of these kind of revolution. So signing out. Have a great day. Bye everyone.